do have a robust QC process, and it is one of the reasons that BudBox has such a good reputation. Our return rate in the industry is unbelievably low, and we do put a lot of that down to our QC process. So we have 4 full-time staff who are dedicated to QCing the products that come off the end of the product line that haven't been involved in the manufacture beforehand. Every single tent is looked at by these QC people before it's boxed up, and then 1 in 10 are unboxed, fully assembled, fully checked, and then reboxed to ensure that every 10th tent is keeping the consistency going. What are the other steps, Jonathan, that we do?
Well, we also sew into every single BudBox a tab which has a special code within that tab. And the coding of that tab gives us which order we've placed as a PO. We can also track who's sewn each bit of it together, so that if there's an issue, we can identify that person and retrain them or move them into an area where they're more comfortable with other parts of the manufacturing process. So we can identify right the way back to materials in to BudBox out. We know every single person who's had their hands onto that product. And as Si rightfully said, you know, every 10th tent is fully erected off the production line. And the final step in that is that each box, as it comes off the final process, is weighed. And we have a system in place that, you know, every single part of the tent is weighed. So we know exactly how much each component should weigh. So that if by the end of the manufacturing process there's something missing, we'll know that it's missing because the computer will say this is underweight, or there's 2 of these poles, or there should be 1 of them. It doesn't happen very often, but it is in place to make sure that doesn't happen. So given that we can identify exactly which QC person was involved in that process and exactly who was involved in the process of manufacturing from start to finish, we can identify that where if there's an issue, we can jump straight on it and we can deal with it. That's why we have such a fabulously low rate of return. There's nothing more disappointing than buying something, getting it home and finding that it's missing a part. It's just soul destroying. I hate it. So, you know, I won't have it. So, you know, our QC is incredibly robust. Well, we used to do every one, but now we just, you know, we'd have to have so many people because there are thousands, so it's just impossible to do every single one. So we moved it to 1 in 10 are actually erected onto a frame. And the frame that we use is actually a standardized frame so that we can also tell if the cutting process has been let down, if somebody's made a slight mistake in cutting the materials, we'll know about that instantly because it won't fit on the frame right. So, you know, every single part of the process, we've tried to minimize the points at which something could go wrong. And if something has gone wrong, we can identify it before somebody's bought that product and we've already made it right. So, yeah.
And I think that's an important point, Jonathan, is that on the very few returns that we get, because of the tag that we have and because of the relationship that we have with our staff, we're able to go back into that process to identify if there is, and occasionally it's just a mistake, but if there is any improvements that need to be made in that process.
Yeah.
And that's a cycle of improvement that we continually do.
Constantly.
Yeah.